Good afternoon. Good afternoon, folks. Thursday, maybe Thursday 10ish, something like that. 4 p.m. movement snack without rain and not scuppered today like it was yesterday. All right, Chris, so glorious sun today. And I made the mistake yesterday of leaving here thinking that I would get to where I was getting for the 4 p.m. Then I realised that I left the fuel light on. So apologies that I didn't see you for yesterday's 4, but here I am. I'm still at LLT HQ is where I am, not in the storeroom with all the weights and the oven. Oh dear, you made me laugh. Is that an oven behind you? No, definitely not an oven. I'm in the different room. It's kind of the entry. It is the kind of where the kitchen sink and the kettle is. I might go into the office after, get everyone to wave at you. Might not. What's to say? Chris, I can see you're in. It's 56, 57, 58, 59. We've got 4 minutes of some preamble, if you have any. What have I got for you? I've had a bit of a twingy nose in these days, but that seems to have passed, nothing too crazy. And I've been back and forth from here, LLT HQ, and Dawn's shack up the road. About a 20 minutes drive, a stunning drive, a beautiful drive of Scottish hills and lochs, and I am debating whether on the drive back today there might be a bit of a dip involved. I did take the gear yesterday, but it poured with rain and my nose wasn't feeling up to it. Good afternoon, Maddie. All right, come on in. I was just recalling where we're at with the sway this week, and I think I have something to add. Super G, afternoon, come in. It sounds like it's very lovely. It's very lovely. And actually, even in the rain and the drizzle in these days, it's the sun is still out there. Odile, afternoon. Anything to report? I'm here till tomorrow, and Dawn and I have got some things to do tomorrow morning. Meeting with Irish colleagues, and I'll be heading back to the airport about 1ish. I think the car has to be back. I've got a little Fiat 500, George, that I managed to get down to orange on the tank yesterday. So that's quite enjoyable to drive. It's like being in a what was his name in Tinky Toys? What was his name with the red hat cartoon, Toy Town? What was his name? Oh crikey, help me out. You know, begins with P maybe. Who lived in Toy Town with a little car? Not Postman Pat, the other one. Thank you, Gillian with a G. Thank you. Noddy, of course. Of course. See, Gillian, and Chris, see, let the Talbot posse, wavelength. Oh no, and Super G as well. Oh, you're on my wavelength, you lot are. Noddy. I've got a little car, Noddy from Toy Town. Little black Fiat 500. Anyway, I think we're there on a 3-2-1 or a 3-2-1. Hey, less of that, Gillian with a G. Who are you calling big ears? You knew I was going to say that, didn't you? I forgot all about Big Ears. Who was Big Ears? Was that his best friend or something? Anyway, should we get on with it? 4 p.m. movement snack. Some circulation boosting, followed by a bit of swayage, weight shift transfer, arm, shouldery moves, followed by some stretchier positions. And I do have a a chair that's not rocking, and I do have some external support that's at about the right height. So Sept boost prompts, if you'd like them, here you go. Standing if you want, sidle up to the support, use it to the side of you or to the front of you, whichever you prefer. Start steady, stay steady with the legs, maintain the gap between the feet, hextra lift and extend. Find your rhythmical steady pace, get as much movement as you can around the feet and the ankles and the toes. Maintain it upright and then working through the shoulders. Keep the bend at the elbow, come a bit closer so you can see. As much range on the backhand as there is to the front. And then rhythmically, arms and legs together. Steady pace, keep the knees low, and or maybe opt for a wider stance at legs and then slower and bigger on the top end. So just build through ranges of motion that work for you. All gradual and steady. Coming from wide position may require you to take smaller steps, and then carry on again. Continue to use that support if it works. So you've got your arms, your shoulders on the go, your hips, your knees, your ankles, feet and toes, your supporting parts through the spine, plus you've got this light lift in the heart rate. Seated prompts, all the same. Active sit, hip walk forward, heels back and down. Have a breath. Start steady through the shoulders, perhaps in sit. And. Adding in legs as and when you feel ready. So that may mean holding on, bit of fingertip touch for extra support, working through the legs, ankles and feet, and then off you go again. So those are your options. Arms, legs, as separates, all together, or you've got a diagonal. So a couple of minutes of circuit boost. If you're in stand and you prefer to actually go on the move for your circuit boost, maybe you have an area for some shuttle walks or a room big enough and clear enough to have a perimeter walk. Just something to increase the blood flow, get some deeper breaths and prepare you for even better movement now. So the second section of the 4 p.m. is a bit of a sway. It's been a bit of a pizza army rolling motion movement this week. Widey stance if you're going for stand. You will know if you want to have a bit of external support, you could nudge up to that. You could park your buttocks on that and go there, or you could stay in seated. Here we went. Shoulders back and down first off. A bit of an armpit waft. Comes up into elbow fold. A few rolls here. Take your position then, and then it leads with the outside of the hands. Comes back to base and back of the hand down, back of the hand up. Elbows stay in the same position, and you can add range of motion. You can add a trunk turn on that. So you're leading with the front of the forearms, and then back to base, take a pause, switch off. That is the arm action that we've been going for this week. Same in sit. A slight change in angle at the elbow to account for the position of the thighs. So we gather up across, close to the body, a few turns, a few pizza rolls, and then back of the hands lead, back to base, back of the hands lead. So you're just opening up from the elbows and then back. All right, take a pause. Some add-ons if you want, some leg shifting. So you can add a bit of a sway from left to right to rehearse that weight shift, or adding in a forward step. So just before we add arms and legs together, decide if you want a fingertip touch for support. Just rehearse a few forward steps, forward step back to base, heel strike to the front, heel peel off at the back. So the aim here in the 4 p.m. is to be really specific and deliberate about any of these steps. If you feel confident of taking a strong forward step and back to base, without thought or consideration, you might be ready for the arms and legs together. So, joining it all together. What's going on there? Who's that? Doris, good afternoon. Okay, here we go. If you want the arms and legs, go for it. If not, arms only. Because you're about to have a step change, the feet are best to be hip width apart, not shoulder. This will make a difference to your weight shift. If your feet are wider, that step forward is going to be more of a challenge. So a little bit closer at hip width. Here we go. Gather up with you off. And then we're going to take a single pizza roll and then a step, and the step merges into the open. Back to base, heel down, toe up, back to base, back to base. An extra turn, now change the top arm and then a step and an open. Back heel up, close it again, toe up, back to base, smaller, 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 and end. So you just started to join those links, those movements closer together. I'm just going to shift the chair out of the way for a moment, so give you a bit more leg space. Slight change of angle then. So the slowness, slowing it down is going to increase the challenge. Slowing it down is going to increase the balance challenge as the heel comes up, as the toe comes up. Arms and legs working together is going to increase the challenge. So the more that's going on with your moving parts, the greater the challenge for your brainage parts. Okay, once more through in stand. Hip width not wide, because this will hinder the step if you're too wide, okay? You might want to take a knee bend as well. Up to base. So it's one and then step and open. Back to base, 1.5, so that you get the other arm on the top. There. And you might want to repeat it or come back to base. So you can increase the time spent in any one of those movement sequences. For example, you can take more than one waft. So you might take another one with a knee bend. So you might want to do maybe 2 or 3 of everything. So you can increase the things you like the feel of. Then you might go 2 pizza rolls before you take the step. Slow and open, back to base. Slow and open, back to base. An extra lift at the end. So you'll find your own kind of nuances to the moves along the way. How's that? In sit, it may be that you have opportunity to add in stepping as well with the legs, so it still could work with stepping practice in sit if you want, or you could just opt for something like a hip hinge on the elbow waft, high up on the sit bones, that could work, and then you might just go for extra trunk turn. Could be with a step, so it could be step and open, back to base. So it really is for you to feel, explore, create whatever you like the feel of. There you go, get creative. That's your sway section. Chest stretch, 3 stretches at the top end. A chest stretch, a back of arm stretch, and an upper side stretch. I'll go through each of those one at a time. So chest stretch first, hands land on the buttocks, open and squeeze, and come back to base. You might be in a sit position, you might use the chair to just add that point. I might have a sneeze brewing, just to say, just because I don't want to take you by surprise. Sneeze warning, okay? Have a breath. No, not yet. Chest stretch, squeeze. If your hands aren't comfortable around there, just kind of there. So just squeeze the shoulder blades together, press the shoulders down, keep the head still, and you are stretching all the muscles across the front of the chest, helping with more upright postures. Oh, it's the fireworks. Now, would it have been great if a sneeze had started those fireworks? So that's chest stretch. Upright postures, breathe in. all the good stuff happening around in the muscles that hold your spine upright. Now better prepared for back of arm stretch, so put in some practices, head stays still, moving the hand around, a couple of those, and then go into the holdy position so you can feel the stretch down the back of the arms. All those external support options could be that you're leaning on a fixed support to take the back of arm stretch. Slowly in, slowly out. It could be that you're in a sit position. From whence, wherever you are, of course it could also work in a lying position. It's the same ranges of motion, but just that your body's in a different place. And there is application, there's requirement to get your hands here in sit, stand and lying positions. Moving on from back of arm stretch, feeling the stretch in the back of the arms, helping with shoulder movement, hands to here, is this upwards side stretch thing, movement, posture. A couple of ways you can get there. Elbow, followed by arm, vertical reach, bend at the top, back to base, slowly down. That might work. And then it might be that effort to work through that range makes you feel like you want to rest. Use the rests, they are as significant as the moving bits. Into active sit, into elbow raise, go for the lift, reach, 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 and that bendy bit is kind of where you're going to get that extra bit. And it goes without saying, you're rehearsing movements from daily life. If something like this, if this range of motion is currently a challenge, break it down, start to improve the movement around the spine, start to add in the arms as and when you feel ready, so you can progressively work towards improving functional upward reach. And there's just some options. The key thing is, wherever you are at with your range of motion, practice it more frequently, move into bigger ranges over time, and improvement will come. What we do now, leg stretches. Sideways move, sideways shift, back of thigh stretch. I'm a bit in the shadows, I'm not sure. I think the lights are on actually. Maybe that's not helpful. Worse or better? Back of thigh stretch, hip walk forwards, high up on the sit bones. Ooh, sun's out. Straight leg position with a small bend at the knee for comfort. Relax the foot, lengthen, up, 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 and hinge, hinge, hinge. The stretch is being found here in the back of the thigh. You are in control. The more you hinge, slow, slow, slow. The slowness stays, that doesn't change. It's the range that changes. So if you want more feeling of stretch, hinge more. But note the head and the chest stay lifted. The aim isn't to get your, on your shins, your nose on your shins. It's to hinge from here. This is all part and parcel of that functional reaching activity also. Slowly in, slowly out. Have a step off, have a slump, have an extend. Go again, lift and hinge. As soon as you start to hinge, you want to start to put stretch through the muscles on the back of your thigh. Just here is going to start to lengthen them, and it really depends how familiar, how much time you spend practicing flexibility, so how tolerant you are and how that feels. Tension. Definite feeling of tension, stretch, slowly in, slowly out. Longer strides, confident strides, movement around your hips, and also kind of those hinging, reaching movements. That back of thigh stretch is also going to contribute to your hip mobility also. Calf stretch, these ones here. Toes coming back, feet coming back, press the heels forward, feel the stretch, lower down in the leg and release. Toes back. And just maybe just imagine that unless your joints work through ranges of motion, how else are they going to maintain that movement? So especially with usual age-related changes, not to mention injuries or medical conditions that might further hinder movement. The only way is just to practice and keep on moving. So to keep moving more freely and confidently, practice moving more. There's a standing option on that, you want it. You may choose to have support to the side, which is kind of the best option in terms of getting the most from that calf stretch here and the hip stretch here. So upward position there, easier on the shoulders to have this to the side. You may choose to have your hands on the wall, or you may choose your hands on a kind of table in front. So it could work there, but as you take a step back, of course, that support becomes further away. So it can be a bit counterintuitive sometimes, which is why I say have the support to the side, because then it kind of stays there and it can move with you. You can move it with you here. You can't move it with you if it's over there. There's the stretch at the front of the hip, there's the stretches down the calf. The other thing to note is as you take the step back, keep the feet hip width apart. So I've got one step back, but my feet are still hip width apart, which is going to give you better balance, as opposed to stepping the foot behind. That's not helpful. So there, upright. You could also go for an extra chest stretch there, if you fancy. Have a pause, have a switch off, maybe just kind of have a go around all of those again. Maybe put a wrap around in there as well. Maybe put a shirt off. Maybe just go through some extra ones of those. Or a bit of that and a bit of that. Slowly in, slowly out. And you can't go wrong. That's it. Hello Sheila, good to see you. All right, Pataba Posse and Doris and Maddie and Dan. That's it. See you tomorrow. Can't remember what's happening. I think I might be on the 8 before I head off back to the airport in the afternoon. Good to see you all, folks. Bye for now.